Poor weather in Detroit forced Tarek Skubal and Paul Skenes into the same schedule today. And they're still not going to give us the matchup of these two aces head to head. Let's talk about that and more next on Locked On Pirates.
You are Locked On Pirates, your daily Pittsburgh Pirates podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Today's episode is brought to you by Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Welcome to Locked On Pirates. I'm Gary Morgan, and something about a doubleheader still makes me feel like a kid. We're going to talk about that. I'm going to do an all NL Central team. Stick with me. I think this is going to be fun. And we'll wrap up with a bit about Billy Cook, who got the call to replace Reynolds, who's on the paternity list. I want to talk about whether he can actually stick on this roster or if this is just a patch while Reynolds is out. We'll see. Let's talk through it. I mean, double headers, man, like they've changed over time. They're always going with double tickets now. It seems like they don't do any of the twilight double header where you would like keep them back to back and just the second game would start almost immediately after they got the field straightened up from the first one. I used to love that stuff. It brought back a ton of memories. I remember just Three Rivers Stadium when we would find out there would be a doubleheader. I just remember me and my friends, we'd all be begging our parents in the neighborhood to take us down and just drop us off at the stadium and let us be there all day so that we could watch baseball all day long. It was amazing how often they actually let us do it. But it was, I mean, you think back in the day though, it was maybe what $15-$20 they each child to go and you'd have your two tickets for the day and maybe even a bag of popcorn and something to drink. I mean, you were okay for the day on your allowance, your grass cutting money. I love that. I miss it. It's not the same anymore. It's very much so been split into two tickets for most teams. And I understand that on a revenue scale side of things. I'm older now. I'm just talking about when I was younger. I really enjoyed that. I'm a little puzzled as to why these teams, well, let me back up. I'm not puzzled by it. If I'm Don Kelly and I have an opportunity to have Paul Skenes, who gets no run support, face any pitcher other than Tarek Skubal, I'm probably going to make that decision too. It's the smart decision, especially if you're trying to get a win, okay? I get it from that aspect of it. I'm being a selfish fan. Let me go with it a little bit, okay? To me, I'm just a baseball fan that wants to see the two best go head to head with each other. I love that aspect of the game. I love when iron meets iron. I love seeing what happens. And while I understand that the Detroit lineup is way better than the Pirates lineup, those two together, seeing who could go further, matching each other pitch for pitch, strikeout for strikeout, inning for inning. I just wanted to see it, okay? And I feel like we're going to get it in the All-Star game, so maybe they're just like, don't worry about it, guys. You're going to see it soon anyway, but you're talking about an inning or two versus what could be a pretty awesome game here in mid-June. And I just would like to see it. I understand they're not going to do it. They're going Andrew Heaney against Tarek Skubal, and Paul Skenes will take game two. So from a Pirates standpoint, you're trying to win one of these games for sure, or give yourself the best chance to win one of these games. Okay, I understand it. It just seems to me like, as a baseball fan, it's a huge missed opportunity to see two of the premier stars in the game right now face off against each other. And I would have just liked to have seen it. I think we know which game Henry's going to start, though, out of these two, right? He's probably going to start game 2. So that means Joey Bart, who did not look good in his first game back, is going to go and probably start the first one, Andrew Heaney. Andrew Heaney, who I think has excelled with Henry Davis being his catcher. I'm starting to be a little more concerned about Joey Bart's defensive capability than I was before. I wish that I could tell you that I was high-minded enough to have the offense not affect my mind on Joey Bart at all, but it is. If he was hitting better than he is right now, I might not be talking as much about the defense. I'm not blind to that fact. I'm sure most of you in some way, shape, or form have grown a little more shaky on him, and you've started to gravitate towards the positive in this entire positional setup here with Henry Davis and the defense. Okay. And the bat has not come along as fast as we'd like, but I think you have to admit he's doing a little bit more than Joey Bart power wise anyway. I don't know. I think that this really should be wrestled away from Joey Bart, the starting position. It feels to me like the Pirates are going to be stubborn on this though and keep trying to see what Joey has. And I don't blame them because I think first of all he could be a trade asset. Although Endy's injury kind of makes that something that you have to think twice about, right? Even with Joey Bart having arbitration next year and whatnot, I think you may have to forego that idea just to not weaken that position anymore. We just don't know what's going to happen with Endy. And even when he comes back, we don't know that he's going to be a catcher. So you don't have this permanent 3-man setup that you're trying to fight with all the time, where we were constantly trying to drill those 3 together into the roster. Well, when we started having those discussions, we were talking about 3 guys we thought would hit enough to warrant needing to be in the lineup. We thought 2 of them could play really, really solid defense. We thought 2 of them were young enough to matter for a long time. Joey was more of a patch type thing, but a guy that you could potentially see as a replacement DH for Kutch whenever he hangs him up, or the way he was hitting, the rate with which he was hitting home runs when he first came up to the Pirates. I think it opened some eyes, it opened some doors, it gave you some opportunities and some problems. I always kept saying to people, like, let's call this catching position a problem when it really is one. And look what happened. There's been so many injuries and so many hiccups and so many. How often have we really had all 3 of these guys playing well enough to care about here in the major leagues and not being able to find at bats for them? I don't think it's happened all that much because in reality, the game takes that away from you a lot of the time. Just like when you talk about having a stacked rotation, you tend to not end up being able to keep said stacked rotation for nearly as long as you'd like to. So the catching position, I believe, has kind of, for the foreseeable future, worked itself out. It's time to stop pretending that we're going to trade Joey Bart. I just don't think that's going to happen unless they really believe Abraham Gutierrez is ready. And if that's the case, well, I'm not sure why they went and got Sullivan, you know? And I know they waived him, but I'm just saying, like, you don't need to go get a guy like that if you really, really believe in Abraham Gutierrez, because it could be the same situation you just had with Endy. You keep a third guy on the 40-man, and sometimes you consider having 3 of them up there, and sometimes you're okay with having one of them work in AAA. I don't know. This is a Detroit series. It's supposed to be a rival of the Pirates. I remember years ago when they started doing interleague play, they decided that this was our rival. Never made sense to me. I understood why you wanted Cleveland and Cincinnati to face each other, but it just would have made a lot more sense for our rival to be Cleveland geographically, I think. But whatever. At the time, I didn't care because Detroit wasn't good. But now Detroit's good. So it's not as much of a fun contest as it used to be. That said, man, a lot of Detroit's offense kind of came out of the same bucket that said they didn't have any coming. So I guess there's a little bit of hope there that things can develop if you get the right set of people instructing and you've picked the right people that have the right kind of growth model. It's going to be a fun doubleheader. Let's make sure we enjoy it. And bonus baseball is always fun. I also wanted to say one more thing. I think the extra inning rules have really kind of diminished the impact that doubleheaders used to have. You could destroy pitching staffs in those doubleheaders before, and if you were the team that was on the winning end, you could really decimate your opponent and take full advantage of what you've done to them in game two. And I think that has been taken away with this Ghost Runner thing almost entirely. There's no advantage to it whatsoever anymore. And the DH has also changed the spirit of it a little bit because you're no longer asking everybody to play 18 innings. You're asking some guys, your best guy is probably going to play both games and he's probably going to DH both games. Now, one of the Pirates' best guys who would absolutely DH one of these games, Brian Reynolds, isn't here. And I don't think you want O'Neill Cruz facing Tarek Skubal. I really don't. That said, maybe you do it just to stick him in as a DH and see what you got. I think that Billy Cook being called up probably affords them not having to do that, but we'll see. It's always fun watching a doubleheader. When we come back, let's have a blast. Let's make an all NL Central roster. I think it's going to be a lot of fun. Back-to-back meetings, running kids back and forth to baseball practice or tournaments, whatever you're doing. It's an endless to-do list. Your morning sets the tone for all of it. That's why you should start with the perfect cup of coffee, crafted just for you. Enter Trade. Trade is the #1 coffee destination in the U.S., delivering fresh, incredible coffee from over 50 of the country's top roasters. Whether you're a cold brew fan or a pour over purist, they've got a roast you'll love. I took the quiz. It only took about a minute. And the first bag they sent me, I mean, it was life changing. I don't even go to the grocery store anymore for coffee. Right now, Trade is exclusively offering our customers 50% off your 1-month trial at drinktrade.com/lockedonmlb. That's TRADE.com/lockedonmlb for 50% off your 1-month trial. drinktrade.com/lockedonmlb. All right, everybody. Welcome back to Locked On Pirates. Hey, do me a favor and hit the subscribe button if you haven't already. Tell a friend about the show and make sure you hit me with a like. Appreciate all of your interactions. The comments are great. So let's make an all NL Central roster. Yesterday we did the all Ben Charrington roster, and that was fun. But I thought it might be a good idea to look differently at the division we're supposedly trying to win and build the team the best we can, right? An all-star team if it were just made from the NL Central. Okay? Let's get started. I'm interested to see how many Pirates I'm tempted to pick. I bet it's not many. So first base. Let's see, you got Spencer Steer, really struggling. Spencer Horwitz hasn't been here all that long. Not really sure what he's going to turn into. Reese Hoskins started out good, not so good now. Michael Bush, he's been, I think, probably the best low-key pickup the Cubs have made. Wilson Contreras. Yeah, I mean, I think I'm probably going to go Michael Bush. I think Michael Bush is probably the best first baseman Yeah, I mean, I think that's who I'd go with anyway. Maybe you could make an argument for Wilson Contreras, but I just don't think he's that good defensively there. I haven't liked what I've seen. Michael Bush seems to be probably the best offensively, and I think defensively he's more than capable, and he's looked pretty good. That's who I would go with anyway. Michael Bush would be my first choice there for first base. So there's one tick for the Chicago Cubs. Second base, Brendan Donovan from St. Louis. You got Adam Frazier and Nick Gonzalez here. Nah. Nico Horner. He's a great fielder. No power. But he's a tremendous fielder. Matt McClain. He's really off to a rough start. Bryce Terang. Fast. Interesting. Thought he had a better year last year than he's having this year. Well, I think you know who I'm going to go with is probably Brendan Donovan from the Cardinals. I think he's finally come into his own completely. Got a good shot to win the batting title this year too. The way he hits, he's got the perfect style for it. Doesn't slump a lot either. Traditionally, even when his numbers are lower, they're consistently a little bit lower. He tends to stay very even keel as the season plays out. Third base, you got Caleb Durbin. Nah. Santiago Espinal. Yeah, no way. Brian Hayes. We know him, the glove, and not much else. Matt Shaw. Boy, not seeing it. Nolan Arenado. He's definitely having a down season. Boy, third base is a pretty tragic spot in the NL Central if I'm really looking at it like that. I think I'd have to go Nolan Arenado, if only because, boy, he's the only one that I see there who's capable of running into one every once in a while, and he's still a good defender. I don't think he's as good as Brian Hayes, but I think he does hit better than him, even if he's not having a great season. I'll go Nolan Arenado. Shortstop's pretty easy to me, really. You got Joey Ortiz in Milwaukee. He's not doing good. Dansby Swanson has had a good season. And in a normal division, I might give it to him. IKF, nope. He's good, but not good enough. Mason Wynn. How could it be anyone but Ellie De La Cruz? It has to be Ellie De La Cruz. He's probably one of the top 5 most electrical players in the National League, I'd say. He wins shortstop for me. Catcher, you got Barton Henry here in Pittsburgh, William Contreras, Carson Kelly, Pedro Pajes, and Jose Trevino. Now, I would say if I had done this in any of the previous 2 or 3 years, I'd probably take William Contreras. Recency bias gets in the way here. I am absolutely going Jose Trevino. I think right now he's the best hitting catcher in this division, and I think he calls a really good game too. So I'm going to go with Jose Trevino. Outfield, we get to pick 3. And I think what I'm going to try to do here is name what I think are the top names this year for the outfield, and then we'll kind of pick from those. O'Neal Cruz, I'm putting him there. The home runs are there. The OPS is there. The stolen bases are pretty excellent. He's turned into a pretty good fielder too. His defensive runs above a replacement are up where you want them to be. TJ Friedel has been really good. Sal Frelick, Ian Happ, Austin Hayes, Gavin Lux, Lars Nootbaar, Brian Reynolds, honorable mention. This is almost more of a legacy inclusion here in this list because I just don't think he's having that type of season. And Kyle Tucker. Now, if I go through that list and I start thinking, who do I really pick from that? I got to take Kyle Tucker. I think he's been incredible. I didn't even mention Pete Crow Armstrong. That's another one that I have to choose. I'm sorry. I think I'd go Kyle Tucker. I think Pete Crow Armstrong has to be in there. He does. That's two Cubs. I'm sorry, but I'm gonna take them both. That leaves one spot for either Cruz or Friedel, because I think that's where it is. Friedel's been great. Cruz has been really good. Man, that's tough. I'm gonna go with Cruz. You can call me a homer if you want to, but Cruz, Tucker, and Pete Crow Armstrong is how I go with the outfield. DH, Ivan Herrera for St. Louis. Many of you probably haven't even really heard of him much or thought about him much, but he's really, really hitting the baseball hard. Kutch, of course, Tyler Stevenson, Seiya Suzuki, and Christian Yelich. It's got to be Seiya Suzuki. Seiya Suzuki's on pace to have like 140 RBI. If he keeps hitting like this, you have to go with him. And let's wrap up with the pitching. It's going to feel like I did this on purpose, but I didn't. Picking one from every team, and I swear it wasn't purposeful. This is just what I think right now. Paul Skenes, and then I'd go Imanaga from the Cubbies, Hunter Green from the Reds, and I know there's some injuries in here. We're just talking like who we would take if we could. Freddie Peralta and Sonny Gray. I think that is a hell of a starting rotation, don't you? I really think that's awesome. Freddie Peralta is probably the weak man on that totem pole, probably the try hard of that. He's probably my fifth starter if I have to go in that direction. But Skenes, Imanaga, Green, and Sonny Gray are going to give you a bad time most time when you are facing them. So I think that is a very, very interesting setup. I think that would be fun. What have I learned going through this? The Pirates just don't have a lot of candidates that are even the best at their position in this division. Knew that before I went into it, but when you really start listing it out like that, my goodness, is it apparent? I'm putting O'Neal Cruz on the list, and the only reason that I think that I actually win putting him on the list is because he has an argument. But he's the only one that I think has an argument right now, position player wise. Paul Skenes is pretty obvious, no brainer. But that's not great. You know, if you want to talk about trying to win a division, you'd like to think that you're taking a few players from your team, and I just can't do it. I just can't do it right now. When we come back, let's talk about Billy Cook, who just got the call up to replace Brian Reynolds, who went on the paternity list. You can't plan everything. Sometimes things are going to just come up last minute, and you're going to want to be there, whether you planned for it or not. Maybe it's a baseball game, maybe it's another sport. That's exactly where Gametime comes in. It's the easiest way to grab last minute tickets without all the stress. With the money you save on tickets, you can splurge on food, drinks, merch, or even invite a bigger group to come with you. Gametime makes all of that possible. Gametime is the official ticketing partner of Locked On MLB, and it makes it easy to browse the app for an exciting and upcoming MLB game, maybe even one of these doubleheader contests today in Detroit if you happen to be in the area. Gametime makes buying tickets fast and simple. Prices are on the app. They actually drop the closer to the first pitch you get. And they've got incredible last-minute deals, clear seat views, and lowest price guaranteed. It takes the worry out of buying. Take the guesswork completely out. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off your first purchase. Terms do apply, but again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONMLB for $20 off. Download the Gametime app today. Last minute tickets, lowest prices, guaranteed. All right, welcome back to Locked On Pirates. Last segment here today. Billy Cook got the call up for Brian Reynolds' paternity leave. Does he have a chance to stay beyond this little stretch of time? Billy's 26 years old. He got off to a very rough start in spring and into the season. He has turned it around, hitting 271 now, but the power aspect of his game, it just has not shown up. He has a history of hitting some, so it's a bit unexpected that he's not hitting any. And it's good that he got his average worked back to 271. It's good that his on base percentage is up to 353, but his slug is only 335. He's striking out way too much for the type of player he is. I will say, and this is something I think a lot of fans kind of drop the ball on, recency bias is far more important than overall numbers when it comes to call ups. He's been much better recently than his overall numbers would lead you to believe. I say that because I often hear well, what are we calling this bum up for? He's got an 848 OPS or 848 ERA. How's he going to help? Okay. On this team, you probably have a point because they are usually calling up guys who don't deserve, at least in history on the way here, right? I don't think that's what you're seeing when you're calling up a guy like Billy Cook. He has a little bit of a history. He started out really, really rough, and he turned it on in the last month. I think when you're looking at minor league call-ups, it's important to kind of look at what has been going on with them very recently. And very recently, Billy Cook has been hitting the ball harder, and he's been hitting the ball more regularly. He's dropped the strikeouts a little bit recently. He's playing great defense because that's what he does. And he's just, in general, hitting the baseball around the baseball field. He's hitting that's in stretches almost 400 in that little period of time. So in a way, you're kind of getting the hot hand here a little bit. I could also make a little bit of an argument that he's one of the very few players that might actually do better in Pittsburgh trying to hit for power than he did in Indianapolis. Indianapolis is a big ballpark. It's not as big in left center as it is in Pittsburgh. But Billy Cook doesn't hit the ball there all the time. Billy Cook will hit the ball down the line and take advantage of that short porch in left field, and he will hit the ball the other way and take advantage of that Roberto Clemente wall. So if he manages to survive through this road trip and end up coming back to PNC Park, I think the ballpark plays okay for him as a right-hander. Now, can he stay here? I mean, do they have to just send him back whenever Brian Reynolds returns? No. I think they can make the call now on Tommy Pham. I think we've all thought that for quite some time. So it's not as though I think we needed to see what Billy looked like before we could decide or something. But I think that if Billy gets an opportunity and he does some things, I think it's going to be a decision that the Pirates should allow themselves to be forced into making. You're going to have to face something. Somebody's going to have to go. It could be Billy Cook. You can option him again if you want, if he's not turning out, or if you're just planning on not playing him. Say you want to go back to giving Alexander Canario the lion's share of the reps out there in left field. I guess I can get behind that if you're not done giving him a shot yet and you really want to see what he has. But if Billy Cook stays up here, man, I want to see him start. Plain and simple. Start him. Start him in left field. Guy's 26 years old. He'll be 27 next year, obviously. This isn't a guy that you can just fart around with and dangle for 3 years trying to get him straight. You know, he either works or he doesn't. And there's just no use for Tommy Pham anymore. It's time to end the game. Move on from him. We've said this a billion times, but move on from him. Let Billy Cook stay up here. If you plan on letting him start. If you don't, If you plan on continuing to play the game where Tommy Pham's going to start once or twice a week, and Alexander Canario is going to start once or twice a week, and Adam Frazier is going to start a decent amount out there. Okay, if Adam Frazier is going to be your starting left fielder, then I probably don't want to talk you into keeping Billy Cook because he's just going to sit on the bench. But if you're willing to make that change now and see what you've got in this younger kid, he's younger than Adam Frazier anyway, right? He's certainly younger than Tommy Pham. If you're going to give this kid a shot, okay, keep him up here. Get rid of Pham. Call it quits. But if you're going to continue to think that this is a bench role and you've got it covered with Adam Frazier and Alexander Canario, okay, I don't care if Tommy Pham just sits on the bench. So in my mind, Billy Cook can stay up here, but only if they've decided that Billy Cook's role is going to be starting, because that's what he needs to be doing. You need to see what he is, and you need to see what you can get out of him. Ultimately, I think Billy Cook tops out around like a fourth outfielder, if I'm being honest with you. But I don't think they have, as far as like left field goes, I don't think they have 3 total yet. So like a fourth outfielder in the future is one thing. He could be the third right now. To me, take full advantage of this paternity leave. Start Billy Cook as often as you can. I hope he plays both games of this doubleheader. Lord knows he's used to it from Indianapolis. They went through their own rain out hell early in the season, and he played a ton. Get him up here and play him a ton. Let's see what he does. Let's play him in a couple different positions today in this doubleheader. He can handle a lot of them. Outfield, first base. Do something. It's going to be an opportunity for him, and I hope he takes it as such. He certainly did last year when he got called up after the deadline. So I'd really like to see if maybe this is one of those kids that just performs a hell of a lot better up here than he does down there. I mean, the only reason he got traded is because Baltimore wouldn't give him that shot. You traded for him to give him that shot, right? Give him that shot. It isn't like you've blocked him. You didn't bring anybody in to block him, so use him. That's all I got for you today. Be back with an all-new Locked On Pirates tomorrow. And I'll tell you what, even though there's a doubleheader today, we're going to have a ton to talk about. Let's do an Ask Me Anything episode anyway. Put your questions in the comments. I'll make sure I address them. And I'll put out something on social media so you guys can participate too on Twitter and Facebook. Make sure that you get me your questions in, and we'll make the second and third segments for tomorrow's show, Ask Me Anything content. Good stuff, everybody. I hope you have a great time watching these two games. Let's go, Bucks.